All right, it looks like we are live. Let's go ahead and share this out. Go ahead and copy. Let's go to Facebook. Welcome, everybody. Just give me a quick second here. I need to share out the stream. If you guys want to as well, by all means, that would help. And then we got one more. Fuzzies. Okay. I think we're good. Let's go. Okay. So we'll give it about 5 more minutes to let some people come in here, and then we'll get this all started. So, um, okay. Let's go ahead and give us that discussion. All right. Let me grab a sheet of paper really quick. Do that one. Because I want to test something out while we're doing this unboxing. By the way, hello to the 2 people that are currently watching. I know it's really, really late. It's 2 o'clock my time. So what is that? 12 o'clock California, and that's 3 o'clock Eastern time. So that's pretty late. And for those in like the UK, it is 9 o'clock, 8 or 9. So maybe we'll be able to get some people from across the pond over here. And for those who are in Australia, I think it's like 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock there? Could be wrong. Anyway, we'll give it a couple more minutes here, and then we'll make sure to. Sorry, we'll make sure to start this unboxing here, so I'm not holding you guys up. Shouldn't be pretty quick. This printer is already set up and ready to rock and roll. We're just basically going to take it out of the box and take a look at it. That's what's nice about it is it's already set up. So I mean, it's a very simple, straightforward machine, and there's not really too much about it. So. All right, so it looks like we are officially up and running here. Yeah, we'll give it one more minute. This down just a tad. Bring it over here. Okay. Not that it didn't really do anything. All right. So welcome everybody. Today we're going to be unboxing and setting up the SparkMaker FHD. So this is an upgraded version to the normal SparkMaker. I've had the original SparkMaker here and set up for a little while. I ended up giving it to my buddy because I never really used it, and he got better use out of it than I did, and he really wanted a resin printer, so I figured I'd hook him up. So with that being said, SparkMaker sent me the new version, which is technically not new. It's been out for a while, but it is the upgraded, newer version of it. That is the FHD model. So, and that basically is like full HD. So if you know anything about the normal SparkMaker, that's on par with like the Anycubic Photon Zero or the longer Orange 10, which they're technically 2K screens, but not really. They produce a very lower quality screen or print, whatever you want to call it. So this one's got the upgraded one. So this is on par with like an Anycubic Photon, an Elegoo Mars, all the standard printers that are on the market now that just have normal screens. This does not have a mono screen or anything like that. It's just got the ability to print in 1080p full resolution, which I guess is not even 2K, but it's pretty close to it. It says that it can do 57 X and Y resolution and up to 25 Z layer thickness. So it does print quite a lot better than the previous model or the lower end model. This one's coming in at right around $240 on Amazon. Obviously, if you shop around and you go with someone like AliExpress or some other Chinese company, you can probably score these for a lot cheaper. Or if you just want one that's really, really cheap, ready to rock and roll, you can also go ahead and get the standard SparkMaker. But again, it's a little bit lower quality. But with that being said, it's also still better quality than an FDM printer will provide you, depending on your settings, I should say. Because if you have the right nozzle and the right settings set up, you could actually get a print that makes it better than this. But the problem with that is that's specifically what that's for. and then your time frame is going to double, if not triple, on your FDM printer. So it has its ups and downs. So with like a resin printer, you know, if I printed a miniature on this, take for example this little guy, this might take me 2 to 3 hours to print this on a resin printer, and with a little bit of cleanup, let's say 3.5 hours. On an FDM printer with it fully tuned and ready to print pretty close to this, I'd say it's probably going to take you 7 to 8 hours, if not longer, depending on what you're doing. And I can guarantee that it will not get the spikiness of this little print as good as a resin print. Like that is dangerous. That is really, really prickly. It's almost like knives sticking at you. So so with that being said, there are some advantages to going to a resin printer. So just going through and looking through what the SparkMaker offers and over the stock, the SparkMaker FHD offers over the SparkMaker standard model is, again, that screen, and then it also has a upgraded LED light source on it as well. So it does have the ability to adapt to it and make it better. So we'll get into that. The printing size on this is going to be 110 by 61 by 125. So it is a very, very small printer. As you guys can see, this is my hand. This is the box. So, I mean, you can just think, all right, most of this is going to be packaging. So this printer is going to be pretty small. So if you're looking for a really, really small desktop printer that wants to print miniatures or parts or things of very, very small nature, this is perfect. This is great. And again, you know, it might be a little bit expensive considering what it does. And you have the Photon and the Mars and the Quiditech and EPAX and all these other ones that are, you know, in a similar price range. Even the Sonic Mini are in the similar price range of this, and they have much bigger build volume. So really, you have to weigh your options. You know, do I have enough room to have a resin printer? If you live in an apartment, this might be a little bit better of an option because, like I said, it takes up a very small space. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking your guys' heads off, and we're going to get to unboxing this. So as you can see, FedEx delivered this, and we had a torrential downpour, and so the box got a little bit wet. So hopefully the unit did not get damaged. I'm really, really hoping. So let's see what's inside here. Okay, so first things first, we get a thank you for being a SparkMaker customer. You get a free bottle of resin. Just share your experience and our printer and receive free resin. And it basically tells you how to get it. You could call the number, which I believe is the US number. So that's pretty cool. And then it's just got like their Facebook, their warranty services, all kinds of different stuff here. I guess it's got an app, Spark. Oh, okay. So that's cool. So they got a mobile app now. So that's kind of cool. So we'll have to take a look at that and see what's going on here. So standard packaging, just to cover everything. Let's see if I can get this out. Actually, this is going to be mostly packaging. So we're going to tip this up and over. Okay. I'm going to try and not have that spill or anything. Got a pretty beefy manual. It's probably one of the nicer manuals. We'll see. Let's just check the other end of this and make sure that there's nothing else in here. Nope. All right. So go ahead and lift that off. And voila. There is our little miniature printer. Like I said, it is very small. This is my hand. So as you can see, that thing is tiny. So let's see what we get for goodies from them. I know on when these came out on the Kickstarter model, They actually came with bottles of resin. Obviously, I don't think that's the case anymore, but we'll unbox that and see if there's any resin in there. Looks like a face mask. Yeah, a black face mask. So for protection, pair of gloves, which are really, really well packaged. And then your typical strainers. I got about a gazillion of these things because, as you guys can see, all the resin printers behind me. That's it for that. And then our nice little operating guide. So one of the things that I will point out when you buy one of these is they are very, very nicely done. It's not like, they're just quickly packaged up and you just kind of get everything. And the translation of how to do everything is kind of really spotty. These actually have really, really nice user guides, and they do have different languages and all types of setup. I mean, it's a very, very detailed printer book compared to most of the ones that you're getting. So it looks like we'll get some hex wrenches, a power adapter, and a plug. I've already plugged in one of the plugs, so we're not going to use that. We're just going to use the one that I have for testing over here. But let's go ahead and open this up. Open that up. There we go. And voila. Okay, so this comes very nicely packaged. The hood is actually taped to the printer base. It's kind of lightweight. I wish I had my scale within reach of here, but I'd say this probably only weighs like maybe 4 or 5 pounds, if that. Let's see where the edge of the tape is. There we go. I think that's the edge. I think I can. Yeah. Oh, there's the edge. All right. I'm going to take off the top. As you can see, this is not that big of a printer. So here's a standard water bottle. I think this is a 16-ounce water. And I'm just going to show that off really quick. Show you how big it is. So you basically have the printing ability of a bottle of water, probably less, actually. So just to give you some kind of guesstimate there. But as I've already told you guys what the sizing was on it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this and this. Looks like we got a little decal here. I'm probably not even going to put that on because if I think I know where that is, I'm not even going to put it on because I'll tell you here in a second. Ooh, we got some new decals to put on the good old laptop here. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. Totally offsetted that. That's awesome. I can't do straight lines to save my soul. All right, so very well packaged printer, as you can see. We got 2 little boxes here, plus some foam padding. Go ahead and toss that. Obviously, one of these is going to be the power plug, which we don't need right now. Our tools and scrapers. Actually, that's not even really a scraper. That's it's like a pry tool. All right, so here's our power supply with an on-off switch. I'll be honest, kind of iffy about those, but for this, it's such a small unit. I'm not really going to be, hounding about it, but we'll plug it up here. Make sure we got some power on it. Put that up out of the way. All right, so in our little baggie, we have a plastic scraper, which is actually, these are pry tools. I mean, it'll work because it's got an edge on it, but these are more or less meant for pry tools. How do I know that? Because I work with Game Boys, so I have a couple of these pry tools. So even though I do have a couple, you know, scrapers and things like that, so I use razor blades. All right, so we get a off-brand IOT SD card. Never even heard of that. It's a 4 gig, 30 megabytes per second. I think this is a class 1, so yeah. I do suggest upgrading this, as I do everything else that's that comes with these printers. Any type of USB, micro SD card, anything like that. Always upgrade them because 9 times out of 10 they're going to fail on you, and it's better for you to replace them than to have them fail in between a print. That's never a good thing to do. So this little decal that they gave me, which was the WOW, which was like their branding, usually goes on here. Well, the first SparkMaker I got had it already applied on here. And when I did the first print, it actually stuck and applied itself to the print because it fell off. So I'm not even going to put that on. I'm not even worried about it. Don't need to have all the branding on it. So we're going to go ahead and looks like we're going to have to turn this on and then put it up. So power supply is on the back, but it's weird because it's out the side. Oh, nope, I was wrong. It's out the back. Okay. And then we're going to turn on the power. Yeah, no. Oh, there we go. All right. Tight fit. All right. So we have our little foam there. All right, our LCD. Unfortunately, with this model, it's very, very basic. It's not meant for, you know, heavy printing. It's more or less printing for one file at a time. I'm sure you can load more onto this USB, but you might have an issue with it. So I just more or less just put one file on there at a time, just like I did the previous model. So let's go ahead and read through the instructions. See if it's already, I believe it's already set up. So we can just hit print and go. Damaged parts, blah, blah, blah. The color principle. So this has got a lot more information than the previous one. So it's got how to do mixing for colors and things like that. What you should do for full printing. So that's actually kind of cool. It's got a lot of intuitive information on here. Let's see. Used to display the LCD screen is extremely fragile. Copper nut, guide rail. So it basically tells you everything that it uses on this. How to control the knob, how to do this and how to do that. So that's very nice. So it says check before printing. This is on page 23 already. So check before printing. Keep the power connected stable. Knob rotates smoothly and presses smoothly. So seems to be going well. Z-axis movement is smooth and unobstructed. Yep, there's no resin residual. On the aluminum build plate, I don't see anything on here. It looks pretty clean to me. Besides, some fuzzies or dusties, that's about it. So I don't see anything else. So we're pretty good in that sense. Tank is installed correctly. We're good. No resin on FEP. We're good. The tank is less than 240 milliliters. If this model is large, the resin can be added during the printing process. So that's something that I get a lot of people asking me is like, hey, I got a model and can I pour resin in there while it's printing? Yes, you can. I've done it several times. If I know I'm going to be printing a large model, though, I usually throw it on one of my big printers that are like 5 times the size of this. In terms of build volume, maybe not 5, but it's probably 4, maybe 4.5. I have some pretty big resin printers back there, and that I'll usually print it on that if I know I'm going to be utilizing a lot of resin. So, but if not, you can just always add it. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. Printed model files have no fault and are not damaged. Ensure the model's position. So basically, it just tells you everything about the slice file and making sure that it's good. If you are going to replace the SD card, do not get anything higher than a 32 gig SD card. It states specifically in here. It says the SD card is a C10 high-speed card with a capacity lower than 32 gig. So the file system is formatted in FAT32, and the SD card is completely unlocked by hardware. So basically, it's just telling you to check everything. All right, so here's our quick starting guide. All right, we're good. So this does say that we have to level the bed. I'm sure it is leveled. Usually these do, but we'll level it just for the hell of it. One thing I will say right away is some of the parts on this are very low quality. Take, for example, the Z-axis. Usually when you deal with printers, this is metal. This is a metal track, and you have a linear rail that's inside the metal track. That is not the case. This is all plastic. That's plastic. This is plastic. That's plastic. This is plastic. So the possibility of these degrading over time is probably very, very good. But I mean, it's something that you can upgrade if you really, really need to, or print replacement parts. But from the last model that I used, the standard SparkMaker, it wasn't really a big issue. Again, we're working with a lowest quality printer. At the time when this was released, there was no budget resin printers out. I think the closest thing to it was like a Formlabs, and that's $3,000. And these things were going for like $400 or $500 when they first released. Now, obviously, that was like a year and a half ago. But, we've come quite a long ways in terms of resin printing. So, pick your poison on that. So, but as I'm looking at this one is not the same as the regular one. So I take back what I said. This is not fully plastic. This back end where the linear rail sits is actually metal. So the surrounding is plastic, which I guess is fine. Because really it rides along the Z linear rod. So this is not really needed. This is just more for protection for the linear rail. That's about the only thing that it's there for. So I will say that right now this is kind of hard to get on here. So we might have to like bow this out a little bit, maybe hit it with some heat or something and kind of press it out, because it is kind of a hard thing to get on. You gotta put it on an angle and fit it in there. But when it does go on, it goes on pretty well. So, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and screw. Go ahead and drop this down and level it out as best as we can. And one thing I like about this is it's got the 4-point leveling system. I know a lot of people like the ball joint, but the issue is the ball joint has way too many areas of error. So while you can level it this way and that way, you might not be leveling it front and backwards. So a lot of people get frustrated with that, and I see that they have bad prints. Whereas this, you just press it down and lock it up, and it's good to go. So let's go ahead and move on here. All right, so rotate the knob clockwise, and it says basically to level this in the vat, which is usually kind of strange to do, but and you can remove the vat and use your standard piece of paper to level it. That's perfectly fine, but on here it says that you can level it no problems. So we're just going to keep turning the knob until it goes all the way down. Okay, so now we're stopped. We're at 0 position, and we're basically going to do the Spock sign, all right? We're going to do live long and prosper, and we're going to take our fingers and put it down, and we're going to lock them up. And this process is kind of tedious on this, so you might want to use the smaller side just to give you a little bit more room to tighten up that build plate. So it takes a little bit longer to do, but with the space constraints, again, if you don't want to do the whole thing and worry about space constraints, then go ahead and remove the vat. It's just 2 screws, 1 on each side, and you can basically remove it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to go crisscross, basically. Always make sure you keep pressure down as much as you can. We're going to tighten this up as best as we can. Obviously, you don't want to try and over tighten this because, again, this is a plastic setup. So the chances of you breaking something are very, very good. Now, one of the things I will point out is this does have tape around the LCD screen, obviously to keep the resin out of it. But it's not just any old tape that you would, find, some electrical tape or some reflective tape or something really cheap. They actually went out and got some quality tape. You can clearly see that it says 3M on here. Now, whether or not that's truly 3M, that remains to be seen, but, we'll take their word for it. So, all right. So now we're good on all that. And now we're going to go ahead and it says to insert the SD card and start printing. I believe there is already a file on here, but we're going to just double check just to make sure, because I don't want to be that person and, have that happen to me where I'm sitting here, hey, yeah, this has got a file on it, but in reality, it doesn't. I mean, technically, I can upload my own file on this and see where we go from there, but These SD card things are terrible. All right, so looks like we have Bluetooth. Whoa. SparkMaker controller app, test files. So that's pretty good. So let's see what it says to do here. Okay, so it says we're using Shi2Box, but you can use the Spark Studio software to import the STL file, the model into Spark Studio, and then adjust appropriate angles, add your supports, so on and so forth, and then set the correct print parameter, save the file slice as .wow for the SparkMaker original, or .fhd for the SparkMaker FHD. So there are some test prints on here. Let's see exactly what they are. No, I can do view, and I can do large icons. All right. So we have a ring, a ball. You know, we can do the ball. That would be very good to do. So, and then let's see here. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do the ball one. Now, again, I think we have to remove all this stuff. And go from there. But let's see if it'll print right from the get-go. So we're going to go ahead and raise this up. And we're going to use some test resin here that we have. When you insert this, insert it facing downward. So that means the pins are going to be facing up from what it says. And it is a click print. And as you may or may not have seen, that changes a different color. So that lets us know that there's files on there to print. And hopefully it'll print whatever files on there. Let's go ahead and get some cheaper resin out here. Let's do some water washable resin from G-Tech. Go ahead and put a no glove, no love. Of course, my hand is all like sweaty. So this is a pain to get on today. There we go. All right. I'll be honest, I hate water washable resin. It doesn't hold up for the times because, as you guys may or may not know, when you put water into a heated environment and then you take it and put it in a cooled environment, what usually happens with water is it expands and contracts. So even though, you know, the print is cured and everything like that, it's using water washable stuff, and it ends up cracking your prints. So far, I have not seen anybody who has engineered anything around that, but you know, we can see if there's, you know, maybe down the line that can change, but as of right now, it's not going to. So we're going to go ahead and add our resin in here. I'm just going to add enough to where it fills like the bottom area. There is a level on here. It's like a little stuck out piece. So I'm guessing that's the max fill line. And then basically once you load your file on here, you just put in your SD card and you click print and it should print. And as you can see, this thing is going super slow. I can hear the fan has turned on. And then, yeah, we'll turn off the light and see if this thing prints. But this lets you know that it's printing. If it's flashing very fast, then that means something's wrong with the file or it's not the correct file, so you're going to have to redo it. But if it's flashing lightly or slowly like this, that means that there's a print on there. So I did see that there was a print.fhd file. So that means that there's already a print on there ready to rock and roll. Like I said, the SD card did come with other stuff that you can take a look at. There's videos, Bluetooth, all kinds of different stuff. We're not going to get into that. This is just more or less an unboxing and initial, review of it. And then what I usually do is I'll take this and I'll print with it for a week or two, come back around and give you my actual impression, because I don't particularly like giving off a full-on impression and say, yeah, this is a great printer, even though I just unboxed it. Like that is not a good way to do anything. You really should be utilizing the printer as best as you can, as much as you can, to know the ins and outs and the quirks and the issues that are with it, to actually give a full-on review. Like I said, if you just unbox something and you say, hey, this is great, that you can say that, but it'd be nice for you to come back around and give me your final thoughts on it, just to say, hey, this is what's good about it, this is what I found that's bad about it. So for anybody that does that type of style, I do suggest that. So that's what I usually do. I do 2 videos for each printer. One's an unboxing and a setup and just initial thoughts. And again, my secondary video is usually a week or 2 down the line, if not longer. And basically we go and see what the issues are, how good it prints, things like that. So we show off, whatever it printed at that point in time. So we should be seeing some lights here in a second. I'm sure that UV light will shine through here. Okay, so there's the initial set. Then it should dip back down, and then we should start going here. By the way, if anybody who's watching, if you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Getting pretty close to the 1,000 subscriber mark. So that would actually make my channel official, which would be totally awesome. Yeah, looks like we're printing our first layer. You guys can clearly see the UV light through here. So DJ Bobo, I get asked a lot on what is a good cheap printer, so I look forward to an update on this printer. So with that being said, okay, while this is a cheaper printer, there are bigger printers for similar price in the same area. Now, if you're looking for a cheap printer that is the same style, but produces maybe just a tad bit little lower quality, I do suggest looking at the standard SparkMaker. Those right now, as I just saw on Amazon, I think they're going for about $140, which is a far better buy than the Anycubic Photon Zero and the the Longer Orange 10, which they're basically the same exact machine. Anycubic contracted out from Longer to make that, and that's what you get. So I'd probably even put this with the Longer Orange 10 and the Anycubic Photon Zero in terms of like the build volume and everything. But what's really nice about this is it's a very, very small printer. So again, the big thing here is, while it is just as expensive as like your Anycubic Photon or your Elegoo Mars or a Nova 3D or Quiditech or whoever's in that $250 range, I think even the Sonic Minis up there, those are far superior printers. Don't get me wrong. But if you are tight on space, which I always love utilizing the smallest amount of space with something that I can, this is your best bet. So like I was saying earlier, for those people who live in condos or apartment complexes and they want to get into resin printing, and they don't want something that takes up a lot of room or anything, this is very, very small and compact, and it's a really, really nice printer. I mean, at least from the standpoint of the original SparkMaker, this is the FHD model. So this might print a little bit better than that, but I'll be honest, the standard SparkMaker printed just fine. I had no problems with it. The quality of it didn't seem like terribly bad. So I mean, it still printed stuff pretty good. So again, if you're looking for something that's just kind of out of the way and small and compact, this is by far your best bet to go with that, because printers like the Anycubic Photon or the Elegoo Mars, which are the two big ones in that category for this price range, are going to be almost twice the size of this. In fact, you know what? Let me just prove a point here. I have a Photon here. So let's turn the lights back on so we could get some comparisons. All right. Move that out of the way. So this is your standard printers like the Mars or the Photon. Okay. So these are obviously a little bit bigger in terms of the build volume and everything. What did I say this was? 110 by 62 by 125. So this build volume is, thinking off the top of my head, I believe it is 130 by 70 by 150. So you're gaining just a little bit more printing ability. But again, look at the size difference between these two. So let me try and move this while it goes up, so we can get a comparison. We must be doing an initial layer. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I wish I had a longer table. I could just do this in one shot. Okay. So here is a size comparison between the two. All right. So here's your Photon, and it's basically the same size as a Mars. I think the Mars is a little bit smaller in terms of height, but the width and everything is identical. The same with like the Creality. You can add that on there, which I have that right there. The Creality is the same type of machine. So as you can see, it's quite smaller, quite a bit smaller. So here, in fact, if we were to take some quick measurements, obviously in fancy American terms. All right, so we have about 8.5 inches wide on the Photon. On this, you got 6.5. So you're 2 inches shorter, and then obviously your height. Okay, so the Photon comes in at about, let's just call it 15.5. We'll cheat a little bit. This one is 11.25. So that's quite a sizable difference between them. So, in terms of space-wise, if you're in a problematic area where you want to do resin printing and you have a small space, this is by far the best printer for you. So I do highly suggest this. Again, I know you can argue with me about the pricing because for this amount, I think right now even the Photon is on sale, but normally they're about the same price range. And I understand you get a much bigger volume on this, and it's just a far better machine. Period, just all around. But again, you're more or less getting this if you're having issues with a problem, with space. So, but they're both going to put out the same type of prints. Like if I tried to set this down to its lowest quality setting, I can probably match it pretty close to a Photon. I guarantee it. So I'll run it through its paces and see what we can do about it. I will try and print some really, really cool miniatures with this because I really think that this has some potential to output some really amazing prints. But again, we'll have to see about that. We'll have to use it and go through and just make sure that everything's running the way that it's intended to. So go ahead and we'll leave that right now. So let's go ahead and put that back up over there. Oh, and then on top of it, the weight is probably 3 times as much for that Photon, probably 2 times as much for an Elegoo Mars compared to this little printer. So, I mean, this thing weighs nothing. Maybe, like I said, 5 pounds at the max, if that. So, yes. So I didn't mean to have a live stream this late at night, but I needed to get this done. I have a lot of stuff that I got to get done before the end of August because my time frame for my normal job is going to switch. And so my free time will be later on at night. And so I want to try and get as much of my content done as possible. So, but yeah, we're just kind of doing an unboxing, initial impressions of the little SparkMaker FHD here. So I'm probably going to head off here. We're at 52 minutes in here, so I'll probably just end it at an hour and call it a night. I'll be on for probably another half hour or so just to do some things and make sure that all my content is set up here. But yeah, I mean, if you guys got anybody who's on, go ahead and drag them in here. So it is smaller than the Frozen Mini. So you just missed it. I put it up against a Photon. So as you can see, there's a Photon. There's the SparkMaker. So you got the Photon is about 2 inches longer, or I'm sorry, 2 inches wider and about 4 inches or 3 inches taller than that. So can I do a recap on the specs? Yes, absolutely. So just to recap on that, the modeling size, as they call it, is 110 millimeters by 62 millimeters, 61.9. So I guess you could call it 61 if you really want to go down. But really it's 62. So 110 by 62 by 125. So the build volume is very, very, very small on this, but it does have some cool things on this. Apparently it does have Bluetooth on it. So you can actually use an application that SparkMaker has made. And I'm not going to get into that right now because I'm sure it's a whole setup thing and I'm just going to waste a lot of time doing it. But again, we'll get back to this. Like I was saying earlier, I kind of do an initial unboxing and then I'll print with it for about a week or two. And then I'll give my final thoughts on it because I don't think you should really do an unboxing, print, and then give your review. That's a terrible way to do things. You might as well just say, hey, it's a great printer, and as you look at it without it even printing, because the chances of a printer not working out of the box is very, very slim. It does happen, but it's very slim. Talking about the Frozen Sonic Mini, I had one of those. As you can scroll around through the channel, you'll see an unboxing for that. Well, then you can probably ask me, well, Matt, you just said that, a week or two later, you usually do a final recap. Well, I never got around to a final recap with the Sonic Mini because 10 minutes after that unboxing and setup video, the printer died. And to be in all honesty, yeah, I could have fixed it and I could have went on and did my unboxing and review. But at that point in time, I had so many projects going on that I needed to get them out and done. I didn't have time to do it. And to be in all complete honesty, when you get a brand new printer out of the box, it should be at least a month before you see any issues with it, unless you do it unless you do it yourself. You know, that's about the only time you should see an issue. That day, the next day, a week later, it should be no earlier than a month that you see any problems. So I sent it packing back to Amazon, and that one I paid for. So SparkMaker sent this to us completely free to test out and show off. I know, again, it's an older model, but it's the newer model of it, or the upgraded model. So so with that being said, you know, I understand there's printers out there that are higher quality printers for same or similar price, much like the Sonic Mini. That is insane. That's probably the best printer in that price range. But you know, again, this is to reiterate it a bazillion times. This is for people who have very, very little space to work with. Like this thing was really cool because I have a desk and the top of it literally hits the top of this. I have like a shelf that goes over on the right side here. And that was nice because I can just tuck this thing away. And once it was done, I just pull it forward, pop off the hood, and let it be. So what would be good to print on her? To be in a completely fair, miniatures would be the best. Very small items. Because, like I said, the print volume on this is very, very small compared to like a Photon or an Elegoo Mars or really any of those other printers. It would be more comparable to a longer Orange 10 or an Anycubic Photon Zero. So those are really, really, really small. Oh, so the Sonic Mini is the same size. You know what? I don't even remember. So that's good news. But again, with the Sonic Mini, the quality that thing produces right out of the box is just astonishing. The print that it did do, I was absolutely blown away. Like, I think the unboxing I did was like maybe 2 hours long, and you know, it printed awesome, and I had some really heavy duty material in there. It's the first time I used like heavy duty ABS stuff. And that stuff wasn't even released on the market, the stuff that I was using. So never was. So I still have that bottle of resin from eSun. It was a test bottle. And they never ended up releasing it because apparently it was too good. And they couldn't get the price down into a range where it was good for people. So they were going to try and release it for industrial, but I don't believe they ever did. So anyway, oh, so you were asking, I don't know about that. I think the Sonic Mini is a little bit bigger. I think that's in the class of the Photon and the Mars. So the build plate is like 130 by 70, whereas this one's 110 by 62. So much smaller. Is it easy for a noob? Absolutely. It's very straightforward, very simple. So this obviously has no LCD screen. So that's kind of a plus and a minus. So a lot of people like to hold touchscreen and everything, but this one, you do your file on your slicer, whichever you choose. You can use the SparkMaker slicer. I use Shitubox. Do your file on there, put it on the SD card, one file at a time. Go ahead and insert it into the printer. You press the button and it starts. That's it. It's very straightforward, super simple. Anybody, even kids, can use this. It's a very, very easily user-friendly printer. So it is very, very nice. So Sonic Mini is almost the same size as the Mars and the LDR. Okay, so I kind of figured, yeah, it's going to be a little bit bigger. So yeah, but yeah, this thing is very, very small. This is my hand, and it's on top of the dome here. So, I mean, here's a bottle of water for reference. It's pretty much almost the size of the printer. You couldn't even, I don't even think you can print a size of a bottle of water on here. So, if you decide to order a mini, I do suggest holding off. They just announced their mini 4K, which I'm trying to get my hands on right now. I'm working with Frozen at this point in time to try and get one to show off. And hopefully we can do that. So I can show off the new 4K Sonic Mini. And if that printer is everything as good as the regular Sonic Mini, nothing will touch it. Nothing. So you can give me any printer at this point in time, and I will say that you cannot touch that printer because it is, I think it's 2 seconds per layer or something like that on a 4K screen. That is insane. Insane. That means no matter what print I throw at it, it'll probably be done in a couple hours. So it's crazy. So wow, does it know if the print is outside its size? So that all goes back to your slicer. So again, I use Sheet2Box. What's nice about Sheet2Box is it does have an automatic setup. So when you install Sheet2Box Slicer on it, you can go ahead and automatically add the SparkMaker FHD in there. It already has it in its list of printers that it supports. So that's really nice. So you just go ahead and you click on it. It'll automatically size the build plate for you. So whatever you put on that build plate, it will tell you if it goes over the build plate. Now, one of the cool features about that is if you click around in the Sheet2Box software, if you click on the print and on the left-hand side somewhere, I think it's on the left upper menu option, there's a little icon that you can click that states reset to build volume. So if I have something that is, something that's this size, obviously this is far bigger than the build plate, I can resize it and put it down. So if you're doing like a miniature or something like that, I can take that and, let's say the size of this print was originally this. I can go ahead and size it down, and so it'll fit on the print bed, and I can print it small. So really, really nice to have. My biggest thing I looked for is detail. That's what I'm interested in seeing. The result size doesn't matter as much as detail. Detail. So I've been talking with several different people who are in the industrial printing areas. And literally every single one that I've talked to, when I say industrial, it's more or less the dental side. So I do have some dental printers over here, like the WeBox and the Nova. Those are not really hobbyist printers, and you can clearly tell once you buy one of them and see what type of printer it is. So with that, talking with a couple of them, I've asked them all about, hey, are you guys going to upgrade to a 4K screen? And really, their straight answer is always no. It's not any better than a 2K screen. And I'm sitting here and I'm literally like scratching my head, like, how can you say that? But then I realized, okay, when you do a 4K screen, you obviously have to have a bigger, better light outsource, and you got to make sure that those two connect well and print good. Right now, you have printers like the Mars Pro and the Saturn that are having issues with that because the matrix display array for the LED that shines through the LCD screen is causing lines on it. So you can't really print like flat pieces on there without some anomalies happening. That's the current issue that at least Elegoo is having. I think I was watching Jesse. I want to say the Frozen. No, not the Frozen. It's the People Eye Transform. I think that had an issue with it too. So it's very strange just to hear that 4K to them is not as important. Now, that might also be because the industry standard for resin printing on the dental side is good. It's perfect. You don't really need to fine tune it any better. It gets enough detail as it needs. So is 4K really, really needed? I truly don't think so. But obviously, everybody, just like cell phones, everybody wants the newest and best thing. Well, yeah, that's great. But that doesn't mean that, this phone is any better than my previous phone. I'll take, for example, I have a Google Pixel 2 XL and I have a Google Pixel 4 XL. Sure, there are some things on it that are pretty much upgrades to it, but the phone itself still acts the same way. So I think that's what they're trying to get at, is that there's really no need to advance to the 4K. While it might produce better quality, it doesn't produce that amazing of quality, and nobody's really going to tell that anyway. Take, for example, if I pull a print off this and I pull a print off my Photon and I pull a print off my WeBox is my best printer in my fleet. I guarantee it'll all come out to be very similar. So you'd have to use, something like this to look at it, like these little binocular glasses to see the actual details in it. So let's see. I want to see a Mono X more than anything. That's another one I'll be working on. I don't know if I'll be able to get that, but that would be cool. We'll see how that goes. How does it do on clear resin? Lamp bright enough to keep it clear? So yeah, we're testing out clear resin right now. We have water washable resin, more or less because I want to get rid of it. I don't like water washable resin. It cracks too easily. So I'm using G-Tex water washable resin, and it is clear. So I'm going to leave this on and see how well it protects the vat and everything. And, just verify that everything is good. So as of right now, it's working okay. Because this light above me will definitely clear resins, no problem. It's that bright. Bigger is better for now with resin. Yes and no. So the only thing that 4K will come into play to help with is the loss of resolution when it comes to bigger printers. So take, for example, the Frozen Transform or the People Eye Phenom, those ridiculously huge printers that are like $2,000. I mean, but they're huge. They're like 3.5 feet tall printers. They're insane. With that, obviously, you're going to be losing resolution. So that's about the only time that's needed to level that out. But otherwise, I don't think it's going to improve it. And here's another reason to go back onto that. Okay, so one of the members on the Elegoo Saturn group got their Saturn, and they also have a Prusa SL1. Now, as many of you guys know, Prusa has the MK3 model for FDM printing. They're pretty much the golden standard. Like, if you want a printer that's ready to rock and roll, has no problems or very, very, very little problems, and prints just well out of the box, by all means, go with a Prusa if you got the money. I don't know about the resin side because I don't know too many people that have resin Prusa printers. But I'm sure they will take the same type of quality and concern with things. But again, I don't really know. But what was funny is he actually printed the test rooks on his Prusa SL1 and printed it on the Elegoo Mars. I wish I had the post. Otherwise, I can post it up for you. But I'm sure you can look in one. It's in one of the Elegoo Saturn groups. But he printed a Rook on the SL1 and his Saturn, and the Saturn actually printed worse than the SL1. And both of them were set up, ready to go. Resin XP set up, everything was good. And yeah, so the Rook actually printed just slightly worse than the SL1. And that's funny to me because the SL1 is a 2K screen. Now it is a fancier printer, yes. And just the way that it does some things is quite different than, a normal printer. So obviously, if you're going to do a print between, a Photon and an Elegoo Saturn, that might be a difference, but it might not be. Who knows? I have yet to see anybody do that. It would be cool to see that. But I think that might tick off a lot of people. But yeah, that was just kind of funny to see that. So yeah, my whole thing on the full 4K, yeah, it's great to have, and it's great to see how fast resin printers have come up in the world. But for the most part, I think they're advancing too far and not catching up with the technology to make sure that it's full 4K. So that's my biggest issue with that right now. Let's see, but I mean, soon larger build size and 4K is going to be the best purchase. I'm stoked for the Anycubic. So the Anycubic Mono X and the Elegoo Saturn is actually a medium-sized printer. So you have your miniature printers, you have your small printers like your Elegoo Mars, your Photon, your LDR, your Sonic Mini. Then you have your medium printers, which are your Photon. Photon X, your Elegoo Saturn. I have a SaneSmart Kumitsu KL9 that they sent me. That's a medium printer. So there's a ton of other medium printers that are sold on AliExpress as well, like the Jenny printers. And then there's large printers, which I have two of those back here. I have a Hiya SQ3 and I have a Weebox 215. So those build volumes are 135 by 215. No, I'm sorry. It's 170. No, I'm sorry. It's 135 by 215 by 200. So the Z is 200. But it's 215 by 135. Or I'm sorry. Yeah. 215 by 135. So that's if I were to take a photon plate, that's 4 photon plates that I can fit on that printer that's back there. It's just hidden out of the way. So yeah, I can do 4 times as much. Now there are bigger printers like the Transform and the Phenom, which are insanely ridiculous, but they're more or less Z height access out of anything. So those are the extra large printers, and that's where you start getting into there. So do you have a print for them? I'm not sure what you were talking about, Falzon. Oh, that's Nazi. Yeah, I'm not sure what you were asking about. Do you have a print for them, Nazi? But I'm doing a test print right now on this, whatever the test is. I don't know what it is. But there are like 6 or 7 other test prints that I can throw on the slicer and slice up. So I have an MK3S kit been sitting in my basement for 6 weeks. Too lazy to build it. I'm trying to find the motivation. That is a pretty hard kit to put together. I personally would just spend a little extra money and get the full build because I'm just kind of lazy in that sense. This thing has been sitting here for about 2 weeks now. So, I mean, that just tells you how much I'm backlogged on things. So I guess that's fair because the Phenom L is a beast. Yes, that's a much larger printer. The Weebox 215, that is a straight industrial printer. And the reason why I say that is because when that goes to cure on its layer, light literally bleeds out of it everywhere. Now, obviously, you can tape it up here and there. It's not the end of the world. But as long as you're not sitting next to it, and that's why it's the furthest from me, you're perfectly fine. You're not going to get any suntan from it. So, the 215, there's 2 versions of it. There's the version that I have, and then there's an upgraded version. So the version I have is about $1,200. And then there is the upgraded version, which more or less just has a cartridge, kind of like your regular 2D printer has. And you can load in any resin you want. It is not proprietary or anything. But if you're sticking with one specific color, that's probably the better system for you. Me personally, I always switch out colors. So I'm like, I don't really need that. Even though I had the money to buy it, I just didn't. And then on top of it, this one was in stock. So I would have had to wait like 2 weeks for the other one to go in stock. So, yeah, those are much bigger and much more expensive. The Hiya SQ3 too, that is about $1,400 when it was new. So, yeah. So here, I'll show it off to you right now. So this is the build plate for the 215. This is my hand. Okay. So I can fit my hand on here perfectly fine. No problems. So this is a perforated build plate. And the reason why they do perforated build plates on bigger machines is because there's so much resin in there that when it goes to put down a layer, it tends to break stuff because there's so much like resistance between the resin and the screen that there's too much squish force. And so that's why you see a lot of the bigger printers have perforated build plates. Not my, it's not what I like, but I understand the reasoning behind it. So I do have one that has a solid build plate, and it's a pain to get anything to print on there. But yeah, so here's just to give you a little insight. Here's a photon build plate. Here's the Wii box. So maybe it's like three and a quarter. Okay. So there's just one build plate of your standard resin printers on this plate. So here, we're going to go put that down there. That was about there. So it's like 2.5. So I was a little overstating on that. My bad. But still, that's a pretty big printer. All right. So I think we'll stick around for another 15 minutes or so. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and ask them now. For those who are on here live with me, for also those people who are on here live, if you guys have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. That would be totally awesome to make an official YouTube channel. It's definitely one of my goals for the year. And we are super duper close. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you can. That would be awesome. And we will have some more content coming up. I have a couple more FDM printers that are coming in. So do I believe that the 3K is worth the Phenom? No. I see way too many posts with people having damaged screens. So if you know anything about that, the screen to replace on that thing is like $600, $700, something insane, maybe even more. I'm sure it's somewhere around there because, okay, for a replacement screen on that Hiea or the Wii box, that bigger printer, that is it's $150, and that's just a standard printer. That's not anything special. It's not a mono screen or anything like that. So with those bigger printers, they're 4K screens. I think they're 13.3 inch screens, which is insane. That is a huge screen. Now that one's definitely like 5 build plates worth of printing for real estate area. But yeah, that is just insane. If you got the money and you really need to print big stuff, by all means, go ahead and get it. But if you're just printing like miniatures and things like that, it's not really worth it. And that's another reason why I say it's not worth it in terms of what I think, because you're not printing many things that are large. Helmets. Yeah. Okay. So I can see that. If you're going to print helmets and you want super fine detail, that's great. But here's one thing. By the time you spend that money and do a resin print and make sure that it goes off good, because obviously when it fails big and it fails expensive. So take also into account, okay, that Wii box there takes a full liter bottle of resin. That means this entire bottle can go in there and I can print an entire print off of this. Okay, that's a lot of resin. So, and that build plate and that vat is probably half the size of one of those phenoms or transforms. So so when you're talking about that type of stuff, yes, it will probably be worth it. But again, you really, really have to make sure that everything is going good. But I still think that at that point, if you're printing things like that, you're probably better off with an FDM printer. Even going with a $1,500 big style HBot printer would probably be more efficient and effective for you, and on top of it, by the largest margin, cheaper, because you can print it in PLA and use it and patch it up and do all this stuff. Because with that, it's just a far better buy when it comes to those extra large resin printers to go FDM. It'd be cool to have one of them, but I don't think I'd ever utilize it. I barely utilize those large printers. I think I've used them maybe 5 times total to actually do a large print on them. And like when I mean large print, like filling up the entire build plate with it. And I've only done that a couple times, and that's it. Otherwise, they sit kind of idle. They're there just in case. So I mean, yeah, there's good points and bad points on that. So are they as fast using one of those FDM printers? I assume you mean the big ones that have 3 axes. Yeah, so FDM printers like a Prusa, but obviously a larger one like a CR10 or CR10 S4, S5. That's a 500 by 500 by 500 build volume. So yes, that is one of the downfalls of FDM. Is I think a normal helmet usually takes about 21 to 36 hours, depending on what's going on. Okay. So it usually takes 21 to 36 hours, depending on what type of helmet you're printing and how you're orientating it. So in terms of that, you can probably make a helmet on one of those resin printers in probably 9 hours. But again, the chances of failure are super high on that, because, if one little thing happens to, have an issue, it's really hard to repair that. And, that really, really sucks, because unlike an FDM printer, yeah, most of the time, if there's an issue, it might be a hole or something. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a weigh your options type thing. It's the same thing with, is it better for me to go with a resin printer or an FDM printer? You weigh your options on what you're going to be using it for. Me personally, for what I do a lot of stuff with like these gaming systems. This is a Game Boy Zero. This has a CM3 module in it, a Raspberry Pi, a very special one. So I can print like buttons in very high quality. So the end finish is what is best. So just because you don't use them much doesn't mean we don't, because I do. Right. And that's really what you got to take into account. Like I said, I have 2 bigger printers back here. And again, I've only used them about 5 times. Now I can probably reach out and get a contract for them. Sure. But I have a normal daytime job. So this stuff is just kind of like hobby stuff for me. And, I print stuff on the side. That's it. It's not a priority for me. So for those people who are actually have a printing farm and they use that and need that for income, then by all means. I have no idea why Deadpool's yelling. Apparently his caps lock is stuck on. No idea. I have those, but the $1,500 ones you were talking about, I think I've seen them. Yeah, so my buddy Brent Deckers in BD3D Customs, he builds super cubes or hyper cubes, and those things are pretty cool, and they're super customized to your liking, and don't have many Chinese parts on them. He actually goes out of his way and sources better parts for them. So but that piece of junk don't have the newer mono screens, which is the way to go in the near future. I agree. As long as we're not talking about 2K versus 4K, because I'll be honest, we've already discussed this about somebody printed a Rook on a Prusa SL1 and a Rook on his brand new Saturn Mars, both with dialed in resin prints, and the Saturn did a okay job and the SL1 did a perfect job. So really it depends on quantity over quality, and well, the Elegoo is quantity over quality. So but mono screens are definitely really cool. I'll be trying to get my hands on a Sonic Mini 4K. Those printers are going to be the big ones to be on the market. So the price of the newer ones coming out is affordable. Yes, it is. Resin are the best for quality resolution. Yes, but with some minor modifications to an FDM printer, you can get it just as close to a resin print. And, you know, yeah, it might take twice as long, but your price for resin to PLA is going to be much, much lower on the PLA side. So really, again, it's what you want to utilize and make the most money off of. So there's all kinds of different things you can go through. Because I hit the caps button by mistake and too lazy to change it. Whatever. Back to this printer. Can I print a batch of the same parts on this? Yes. So one of the cool things about resin printing over FDM printing is I can print, say, all right, I'm going to print this print. You know, let me turn this off because this is clear resin and this doesn't really show. Okay, so this is like a hedgehog, okay? Very spiny, very, very detailed. All right. I want to print this. If I were to print this, let's say it's 3 hours. Okay, let's just take that for example. All right, so 3 hours. If I go ahead and I add a second one, it's only going to take me 3 hours to print both of these. So that's one of the cool things about resin over FDM. Whereas FDM, if I put two of these on the build plate, it's going to add 3 hours plus another 3 hours, and so on and so forth. So, so that's one of the upsides. Plus, again, as Deadpool said, the detail that comes out on this, unfortunately, my camera is crap, so I can't really focus in on the detail, but these are sharp. Like, these are dangerous. That's like needles. So, so yeah, I mean, I have 15 resin printers here, and what, 1, 2, 3 FDM printers, and I have more on the way. So, I mean, actually, this makes 16. I'm sorry. That's number 16. So, so again, going back to other people's channels and their content. Okay, so the thing that it makes my channel different than anybody else's is I'm not here to make content to try and make money off of this. I'd like to get to 1,000 subscribers. So, you know, with that being said, anybody that's here that's not subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe. But that's all I want to do. Just get to 1,000. That's it. Other than that, I can really care less. I'm going to put out the content that I think is pretty good. I'm not going to force a specific content down you. So with talking about quality, yes, you can show off different prints, much like this, and say, yeah, resin is better in a lot of ways. Yes, it is. Okay, but also this costs probably twice as much as an FDM print, but with a little bit of modeling clay and some cleanup, you can make a FDM print look even better than a resin print. So, and even with the resin print, sometimes you have to clean them up and get them ready to go if you're using support. So, I mean, in the same way, you're going to be painting them and setting them up. So in some ways, you're still going to get the same results off of the same printers, or two different printers, FDM and resin. So again, you got to weigh your options. I've seen some people that print some insane miniatures and terrains and things like that come off an FDM. And I'm just like, how did you even do that? Like, that is just insane quality. I've never, ever seen that. And that usually boils down to a quality nozzle, some quality parts on a printer, not some budget printer that, you know, somebody's going to take an Ender 3 or a CR10 and say, oh, well, I'm going to throw this on there and throw that on there, and I'm going to print a miniature, or I'm going to adjust my profile, and that's going to be good enough for a miniature. That's not just the case, okay? There's several different parts that play a role in FDM. I just personally am not a big FDM fan because I want the more finished part right off the bat. And then on top of it, you have one moving part going up and down. Well, technically two. One for the up and down and one for the build plate. So those are really the two things that can fail on you. And if they do, you just adjust it and hit print again and it's done. Whereas an FDM printer, you have an X, Y, and a Z. And if one of those is not working right, the whole thing is just off. So I have a real big problem with FDM printers in that sense. Even if you have an auto bed leveling system, like, okay, we did an unboxing video of this Mingda D3 Pro the other day that they sent us to us for free, basically, to show off on the channel. And, you know, it's got an auto bed leveling system, but it's still not right. So in that term, you know, there's a lot of things at play that you can't just say, oh, well, we're going to do this and adjust this, and this is the quality you get with an FDM, so it's not close enough to a resin. You can get it close. I've seen it. I'm amazed by it, but I'm still going to choose resin personally. So to get more subscribers, you need to show off better prints with better machines. No one cares as much as cheap, low quality resin or FDM. So yeah, if you know anything about my channel, we just did an unboxing. Sane Smart just sent over their Kumitsu KL9. That's $1,000 printer right there. So I don't think that's a cheap one. I have a video that I need to do of the WeBox Sweeten. It's a chocolate printer. It's about a $2,500 printer. I have that over there. The G-Tech DP200, that's about a $500 printer. The WeBox Lite 130, that's a $600 printer. So those are like the lower ends. Obviously the Photon S, the G-Tech A10, the E-Cube Maker, which is like a ghetto snap maker. That's about a $700 printer, or was at the time. I think it's $500 now. Then behind the Photon S here, there's two bigger printers. Those are large size printers. WeBox 215. WeBox Lite 215. That's about $1,200 for that printer. And then the Hiya SQ3, which is hiding right behind it, that's about a $1,400 printer, I think, when it was new. So it's not like I don't have slouchy printers here. I have a Hiya SQ1. That was a $500 printer when it was new. The Mingda D3 Pro that we just got, that's a $400 printer. So all in all these printers were sent to me. I think I probably paid maybe $100 for a couple of them here and there, in total, you know, $20 here, $20 there for shipping and whatnot. But all in all, I probably have about, I don't know, 15 grand worth of printers here, maybe more. And that's not even including the printers that are on the way. So, why the glove? Because I was using resin. So, all right. Yeah, to get more subscribers, I'm not really that worried about it. We're pretty close to 1,000. So as long as I hit that peak, I don't really care. I do all my work on my 3D noob group, which has 23,000 people on it. So this is just kind of like a side thing that I do for people. Personally, I've been here for some time, and I like that you showcase all level of printers. I keep learning more and more. Absolutely, anytime. And again, if you guys are part of Facebook, check out the 3D noob groups. That group is specifically for people who are getting into printers, whether it be resin or FDM. We do have a resin printing group because I'm starting to get more into that than the FDM side. All this used to be FDM printers before the beginning of this year. I had about $9,000 worth of FDM printers, which I got rid of, and just kind of slowly got resin printers. So, oh, you want good quality? So like the Anycubic Photon, The Elegoo Mars that's over there, the longer orange 30 that's over there, the Creality LD002R that's right here. SparkMaker, that's the FHD model, so that's a little higher quality. Still garbage. What else? Yeah, so I mean, those are my affordable printers because I don't do the normal. So that's the other issue that I guess I kind of have with subscribers is I don't like doing the normal because everybody does the normal and there's better printers out there. People need to do more research. Um, so that's my biggest issue with that is I do a lot of research on things. I got EPAC sending me possibly an X10, if not one of their newer printers. Um, Calent is going to be sending me one of their newer printers sometime next month when they release it. It'll be a smaller printer. It'll be something to compete with the Photon and Photon S. What else? Who else do I got? Oh, Frozen. I'm working with Frozen right now. Probably going to get their new Sonic Mini 4K or their Shuffle XL, whichever they decide to send me. Possibly going to get a Frozen Transform if they okay it. But the stipulations we gotta come to agreement with that. So. I'm a new subscriber, so I watch your videos to see what you're about. Absolutely, thank you. I got content all over the place. I do a lot of gaming stuff and I do a lot of 3D printing. So it's not specific. So that's another reason why my subscriber count is just kind of wonky. So I mean the mono screen, which are better quality, like 2K and 4K mono screens. Agreed. I will say that I'm not going back to Elegoo. Elegoo has been consistently trash for me and the people that I know that own resin printers. So I don't think I'll be showcasing any Elegoo products here besides the wherever I put it. I have some air filtration systems that they sent me to show off, which I have no idea what I did with them. So this is about the only last product that I'm going to do for them is this mini air purifying system just to showcase it off. But otherwise, yeah, I'm probably not going to deal with them anymore just because the consistent issues that they had. I've returned my Mars Pro. Both of those went back. I canceled my order on the Saturn because it's too low quality for me. So yeah, and then Sane Smart reached out to me and sent me their Kumitsu KL9, which is basically a steroid version of the Saturn in terms of build quality. I mean, it's insanely beefy. And so yeah, I'm glad that I did that. So yeah, and you know what? It's a current thing. It's not even really like a consistent thing. They decided to move to these LED matrix, which I have some higher end printers that use LED matrix arrays. And I've had them for a long time, but apparently that's a new thing in the upcoming community is the LED matrix. Everybody's been switching to it. But like my Wii box that I've had for almost a year now, I've had that. And they actually know how to use that and use it correctly. So they actually did the research on that. So that, like I said, for smaller printers, the WeBox 130, by far the best printer that I've had. It far outperformed my Sonic Mini that I had, even with the mono screen. Yeah. So I hope that you do your show best printers in all price categories. I've been wanting to do something like that, but the problem is I swap out printers all the time. And doing reviews and things like that, sometimes I can't keep the unit. So it's like you do a review and then you send back the unit. It's not always you get to keep the unit afterwards. Sometimes you do, but most of the time it's, no, it's called a WeBox Lite 130. And that thing is my best printer. It's kind of out of range here. It's blocked by this stupid pole right here. but it's a flip up top like the Photon has, and it's a similar build volume, but it's an industrial style or dental printer. So it's, while it's expensive, it's about $600 for it. Yeah, LIGHT. But yeah, WIIBOOX 130. Here, I'll spell it out for you. You can find it on Amazon. There you go. All right. So yeah, that's by far my best printer. My second best would be right there. That's the Nova 3D Elfin. And the reason being is just the what they offer in terms of all around user abilities. So the WeBox wins on a lot of checkpoints. Yes, it has a normal 2K screen. It's not a mono, but with what it's got inside of it, you can easily put a 4K screen in it, no problem, and just set off and print. Because of the internals that it has is not a crappy Shitu board like all these lower end printers like the Photon or Photon S or Elegoo Mars. Those are lower quality machines with the the Shitu boards in them. This WeBox, again, it's out of the way, has a proprietary board on it, which is it can utilize any type of screen that you put on it. I believe if you tinker around with it a little. WeBox is on Amazon. You just got to look for WeBox Sweeten, or just look up WeBox. It should be on there. Here, I'll see if I can get a link right now. There we go. Oh, they lowered the price. Now it's $500. Used to be $598. And it came with a bottle of resin, which was probably the best resin I've used so far. Here, I'll get you a link right now. By the way, this is affiliate link. So just to let you know, the reason why this printer touches on all aspects is the fact that the bed leveling, it's a 4-corner like an FDM printer. Super easy to level if it needs to. I've had that thing for almost a year, never leveled it once. Secondly, the build plate is not like any normal printer, like the Photon, where the resin goes up over the build plate. The resin will never ever go up over the build plate unless you overfill the entire thing, and then there's just resin everywhere. It actually has a base plate this thick, so there's no way to actually overflow the resin over it. And then the slicing software is a Prusa slicer modified software for WeBox. And the support structures on that and just easeability of printing, fantastic. Ability to print with Wi-Fi, that's a plus right there too. The VAT design sits in there, locks in there, and then it ties down. So it's got a magnetic locking, and then it also has a screw down. So it's got a 2-point locking system for the VAT. So that's another great thing. What else? It has a SanDisk USB stick that comes with it. High quality, not some garbage knockoff one that most of these printers come with. It actually comes with quality parts. It comes with feet, so you can actually truly level the printer, because unlike FDM, you can use a bubble level because you're actually leveling liquid on the printer itself. So you can level the entire thing, then level the build plate. But again, you probably don't need to level a build plate ever. So that's a plus right there. If the less stuff that I have to do, automatic check mark above anybody else. And then on top of it, supposedly it can print up to 50 which is insane for any 2K printer. Now, I'm not too versed on what that means in terms of print quality, but from what I've been told is it's very high quality and close to 4K. But again, that's a dental style printer. So my apologies for the bright light. Good Lord. So yeah, it's just got a lot of features on it that make it far superior to any of these other printers. And the same goes for that Nova 3D Elfin, or really any Nova 3D products. That's second best for smaller printers because of the Wi-Fi that it has and everything like that. So yeah, but I'm gonna stop talking about those other printers. This was more or less to showcase this printer, and we kind of got a little bit off track, but looks like we're doing okay. I don't think you can pause this. Let's see if we can pause it. I think you can pause it. So let's see what it does. Okay. We're looking good. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to end the feed here. We're coming up on an hour and 46 minutes. That's a long time just for an unboxing video. But again, for anybody who stuck around, if you want to hit me up on Facebook, that's where I'm mostly at. On the 3D Noob group, go ahead and get in there, and you guys can learn a lot about new printers, and we show off new printers all the time to let you know what's good, what's not, what's what to look for on the printer and things like that. So I got a lot more videos to do with these printers coming up, and yeah, till next time, guys, happy printing.